Hello everyone, Loremaster Sotek here with a very messed up green screen. I promise it's vaguely on purpose because if you can't tell, there's a... Sadie! Hey! There's a... She has decided to use the void as a blanket type situation, and I can't be bothered to move her, so it's fine. Hope you're all doing well. I am in the midst of working on quite a few really fun lore scripts that I'm really excited to share with you all, but they're not done yet. And I wanted to just be able to make sure that I'm keeping up with talking to y'all about what's going on in the hobby space or what's going on with Total War or whatever stuff these days. But obviously, we're still kind of coming off of the winter break as far as Total War is concerned. There should be some news coming up, I imagine, here in just a couple of weeks. I would be shocked if we don't see either this upcoming week or the week after. I think today's Tuesday, so hopefully something by next week. I mean, we are today is the 31st actually, so we are getting into February tomorrow, and we know that February is when CA is probably going to hit the ground running as far as starting to ramp up and talk about the upcoming DLCs in the future. Now, what those DLCs are going to be is, I would say that most of the community, self included, feel very confident about the Chaos Dwarfs as a new race pack or but we don't have anything just yet. So I will be keeping my ear to the ground on that for patch. I think it's going to be patch 2.4, which, if I recall correctly, hopefully will be coming with something like another round of the I'm thinking it's going to come with another round of the Regiments of Renown for the game 3 factions. Just something to kind of keep spicing things up. And I will kind of reference or leave a link down to a video below about how CA is collecting feedback about Total War Warhammer right now on their Steam forums. So just a reminder that if you've countered any bugs or if there's anything notable that you think should be added to the game or taken care of, it's a good time to be doing that, because this is kind of that slow period, the breath before the plunge, and hopefully we'll be diving into lots of content and insanity in the near future. But the actual thing I wanted to talk about today is, how just a few days ago I've been rambling and just having a great time about all the new Seraphon miniatures and getting really excited about the new Lizardmen models, which those are the same thing, just in Age of Sigmar they're called Seraphon. But today Games Workshop actually revealed more Seraphon goodies, which I will have the image thrown up on screen. But they have revealed what's called a rumor engine, and the rumor engines are basically Games Workshop, I think it's every week, they will put out an image that is super zoomed in on a part of a model. And basically the goal is to try and let people guess about what the new mini is going to be. Oftentimes there's quite a bit of the community that really enjoys hanging on to these images, and then when new models get fully revealed, they compare the grayscale image to the painted minis to see if they can figure out where it came from. And generally they're 100% amazing at it, which is really, really cool when you finally get to see those little bits lined up next to the actual miniature they're a part of. And we know there is a significant amount of more Lizardmen stuff coming. Games Workshop announced as much during the last preview event, which I will also have a link down below if you want to watch my entire reaction. We did put up a little bit of a highlight reel, but the entire reaction is up over on my second channel, where I put full streams from Twitch. So if you want to check that out, feel free to, if you want to see my reaction to all the 40k stuff or the Horus Heresy stuff and all that jazz. But in any event, what I really wanted to talk about is that this basically confirms that we're getting new Kroxigors. I would be shocked if this is not a new Kroxigor miniature, because this basically lines up almost perfectly with a weapon on the Kroxigor known as a moon hammer in Age of Sigmar. So in fantasy, the Kroxigors were very, very simple. They didn't have alternating weapons. It was simply that you had great weapons. Period. Done. And that was it. There was a single unit of Kroxigors, and You know, in 8th edition and in much earlier editions, you could take them inside of a unit of skinks, which made them a little more exciting. But other than that, Kroxigors were pretty basic. In Age of Sigmar, what they did was they basically split up the Kroxigor weapons into 2 different weapons, which I can't remember what the regular one is called, but basically there's just the very traditional, it looks more like an axe, like a big 2-handed axe. And then there's the Moon Hammer, which is a big old maul that the only miniature in the current Kroxigor, whenever you buy Kroxigors, you usually get 3 minis. And one of them has like a big maul he's holding above his head like this, and he's about to slam it down. And that is the Moon Hammer model. And it has this big spherical ball on the end with little spikes coming out of it. I'll have an image of that thrown up on screen. And this weapon is practically identical. It's just a much more, just a much nicer interpretation of it that fits more with kind of one of the things I actually really like about the Seraphon and how they're changing the aesthetic of the Lizardmen is that the Lizardmen are getting kind of more technologically advanced for Age of Sigmar. Like, they're not actually getting more sophisticated tech, but it's more that their weapons look far more on par with their other creations. One of the things I always found a little strange about the Lizardmen was that they have the capabilities to make very ornate and powerful weapons, and they've constructed like amazing cities and all sorts of bizarre kind of futuristic looking things, but their weapons tended to be very, very simplified. Which I think it's fine for them to have like relatively simple weapons, but they should still have like something exotic to it, something otherworldly. More golds and not just basic stone, but really going heavy into like the obstinite, which is the special material the Lizardmen use that, can't be found anywhere else on Earth and is harder than steel and yada, yada, yada. Every fantasy universe has like a billion of those. And I'm really like the new Saurus blades and the new Saurus shields that we're seeing for the upcoming range refresh look amazing, and it seems like Kroxigors are coming on. The only other weapon I think this could be is some people have suggested this on Twitter when I retweeted this, is that it potentially could be the Saurus Sunblood model. Which the Saurus Sunblood is just Gorok. One of the things they did going into Age of Sigmar is they got rid of most of the special characters, but they kept their models and basically reintroduced them as generic characters that had a very specialized role. So Gorok became a Saurus Sunblood, which was basically just like a really beefcake Saurus warrior that's designed to buff other Saurus and like tear people apart in close combat. Whereas like Chakox, the Eternity Warden, became a just Eternity Warden, which is a generic Temple Guard character who specializes in buffing like Temple Guard and protecting other characters. So they did a lot of stuff like that. Teto Echo, the special skink priest astromancer from fantasy, turned into the skink Starseer in Age of Sigmar, etc., etc. So this weapon could be a new Sunblood sculpt. However, I don't think that's true because it looks more like a great weapon in the way, like there's enough of the image that the haft to the weapon makes it look like someone's holding it straight vertically like this. So like someone's wound back, straight back, and they're about to bring it down straight on. It's not curved to the side or anything, right? It's just going straight on. Which to me makes me think something, and because the haft looks so long and it looks like it's attached to some kind of pole, it makes it seem like it's being held much further down and someone's using that force you build up, swinging something heavy like that's further away from you, so you build up all that extra force for the impact, coming, straight down to crush somebody. And that just screams Kroxigor and looks like something one of the Kroxigors we have now could be holding, being the Moonhammer guy. The Gorok mini, the weapon is similar in that it is kind of the Mace of Olamak, which is what the Sunblood or Gorok wields. It is vaguely similar in that it kind of is a spherical type weapon, but its overall design is a little more different. It doesn't quite match up to this. And if it was a mace, I think it would not have this design right around the bottom of where the mace is. I think, or where the head of the weapon is. I think it would have us. I think it would the. Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is that I really think makes me feel that way is that I feel like if it was a traditional mace to be used by the Sunblood, here I'll screen share here. I feel like the this part of the weapon where the haft is coming off would be here, down at the back of the weapon, so that it's more for like, because that to me that says that it's a single hand weapon. I feel like if you're dealing with a weapon that you're only wielding with one hand and it's almost being used more like an axe or a traditional mace, then with this design, especially with the spikes along the front, you would want the haft here along the back because it would look better. I think on a miniature, it would look better and it would give you kind of more of a choppy feel to it. Whereas this, because the haft is kind of more like in the exact center or even a little more towards the front, I don't know, it kind of gives me more of the feel that it's meant more for sweeping or like bringing over the head for like big crush. I could be totally asinine and crazy, and you may be watching go, I don't know how the fuck he feels that way about this based on that. But to me, it fits much more with an updated interpretation of the Moonhammer, and I don't think it looks as good, or I don't think it fits as well for an updated interpretation of the Mace of Ulamog. But once again, could be totally wrong. Those are both models I would love to see new sculpts for, the Kroxigor and the Sunblood. Though I would much prefer to see the Kroxigor because the Sunblood model is held up reasonably well, but it's also a character, so you don't get as much mileage out of it. Whereas if we got new Kroxigor sculpts, that's a unit. I will say my biggest hope for the Kroxigors is that A, we're getting new Krox, and B, that they have more than one variant. One of the kind of unfortunate things about the Kroxigors in Warhammer Fantasy is that until Total War kind of started expanding on them, there was only one version, which was just Kroxigors. Period. The end. And they didn't have any alternate weapons. You didn't really have any way to customize them or make them change the role they fulfilled. They're just kind of there. I would really love to get the Boxigors with the gauntlets that are maybe less designed for like just pure crushing blows or like sweeping aside large amounts of infantry, and maybe have a more specialized role in some way. And I also very much hope we get character variants. I would sell my soul for a Kroxigor ancient hero type in Age of Sigmar. I'm still praying that we get a Kroxigor hero in Total War, but Age of Sigmar doesn't really have the delineation between a lord and a hero. They're just have characters, which I think is actually a good thing. It's just that your heroes are just cheaper and have less have less abilities and less skills or smaller stats, but they come from the same category, which I think in general is better than the way we had in fantasy where you had lords and heroes. I don't think they're gonna bother with that going back to the old. But in any event, I'm really excited about this, and it kind of really sparks hope for me that they're really gonna go ham with this range refresh. I think I've talked about it a bit in that last video where we focused on this, but like Kroxigor, Salamanders, Razordons are my big three. Well, okay, I would probably like if I could get Kroxigors and their kit is made so you can build them in two different variants, so like Boxigors and regular Kroxigors. And then if I could get a Salamander Razordon kit where you could build them as either version, but they're in one box, and then a Cold One Rider kit. I guess that's what I really like. Cold One Riders, in my opinion, are by far the most hideous model in our range for Lizardmen players, outside of the Saurus Warriors, but we know those are getting new ones, and they look amazing. So I would very much hope we're getting new Cold One Riders as well, because the modern ones are they are so bad. We've never had good looking Saurus Riders for Lizardmen, Frank. I don't care what edition you look at. I think they've always been hideous. They just Games Workshop just could not figure out how to make them look good. But Age of Sigmar has absolutely beautiful models. I've really never seen a model for Age of Sigmar that I thought was not gorgeous. So hopefully this can finally break the curse on Cold One Riders and they can finally make good ones. Because the only badass looking Cold Ones were the Dark Elf ones. Can't put Saurus Warriors on them, at least modern day Saurus Warriors, because they're too fat. They don't fit on the more badass Raptors that the Dark Elves got. But yeah, that's pretty much. I just kind of wanted to talk about that a little bit, just because I wanted to put out a video today, and I am genuinely super excited about this. I'm looking forward to the other rumor engines we're gonna get as we build up towards summer. I think they've said that they're hoping to release the Seraphon at the end of spring, early summer. Because on the oh my gosh, the live stream for the reveals, I believe they said late spring, but on the poster they showed for the Age of Sigmar book releases, it showed it as early summer instead. But like you know that they're very similar times. But if they're going to do that, that means they're probably going to reveal a lot of the Lizardmen stuff at least 2 to 4 weeks before. So hopefully we don't have to wait terribly long. I would guess that in April, maybe, we'll probably see more. But supposedly the 3 units they've already showed us, the Slum Mage-Priest, the Skink Raptidon Riders, and the Saurus Warriors are less than half of the new range. So we'll have to just wait and see. You know, if, like I said, Cold One Riders, Salamander Razordon dual kit, Kroxigor dual kit, and then, you know, maybe a Kroxigor hero. Maybe bring back the Skink Chief on smaller mounts would be really cool. I think you can still take a Skink Chief on Pterodon, and I know you can take one on a Stegodon. I honestly do not remember. Well, why don't I just look? Instead of sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Like here, like I even got like the collector's edition version of Seraphon. I've barely played them this edition, though I did really like this book. The lore in it was great. I wasn't a huge fan of how the army played. It just I didn't like certain aspects of it. But like most of our sculpts are have held up pretty okay. Yeah, like the Saurus Scar Veteran Cold One is hideous. We could use a new one. The Saurus Astrolith Bearer, which is the army standard bearer, we could really use a new one of those. But like the Skink Starseer still looks good. The Star Priest looks fine. The Eternity Warden's fine. We've already got new Chameleon Skinks and the Warcry box set. They're fantastic. Modern day Skinks hold up fine. Kroxigors, I actually don't mind their current sculpts. I think they're decent. I just want plastic sculpts, and right now they're fine cast. Yeah, no, we still have Pterodon Chief, Ripperdactyl Chief. So we don't need those. Those still look great. So yeah, I don't know, maybe a Skink Chief on foot could be cool. But I think my big wish list for me personally is a new Kroxigor character, maybe a new special character, like bring back Tehenwyn. I would love to see Tehenwyn come back, or Kroxigor, one of those two interpreted in a new form would be super cool. Maybe they could make Slon Lord Zektoka finally playable, because he's been the big Lizardman character since the Seraphon came back in first edition, next to Lord Kroak. But like we also already have Lord Kroak, so I don't really need another Slon, because it's like if you're gonna take a Slon special character, just take Lord Kroak. But I don't know. In any event, that is going to be it for this. Is just what I wanted to talk about today. So hopefully that was at least somewhat entertaining to listen to. But if you're, I especially in this for this video would love to hear from the Lizardmen fans, people who played Lizardmen in Fantasy or Seraphon in Age of Sigmar, or you intend to play them with the new models coming out. Maybe you're thinking about picking them up for Age of Sigmar or the Old World. I would really love to hear y'all's thoughts about the current range. And if they're like, what would be your top 4 picks? Like 1 character and 3 units. If you could have any 1 character and 3 units for Lizardmen or Seraphon, what would be like your wish list? And feel free to do dual kits as long as it kind of like makes sense. So like, you know, a Salamander Razor dual kit, because they're vaguely the same. Like they have very similar body types and would make easy dual kits. You know, for Cold One Riders, you're probably looking at, you know, there's a hand weapon variant and a spear variant change in the kit, though maybe you'd be like, well, I want Horned One Riders too, because I really like those in Total War. So maybe you could look at having you know, you're able to build the mounts as either version. But in any event, would love to hear what y'all think. I will say, I also hope we get a big dinosaur. You know, a lot of us would love to get a Thunder Lizard or a Dreadsaurian, because the Forge World Dreadsaurian has actually been retired. It's no longer available for sale. So maybe a plastic Dreadsaurian. It's like really big, like the size of the new dragons. Because there are some huge Age of Sigmar sculpts. There are some Age of Sigmar characters that are hilariously fucking huge, and they're made out of plastic. So, you know, if we could get a new Dreadsaurian sculpt, and I would not have any complaints, honestly, if they just came out with that. But it was made of plastic, so it was a lot cheaper to purchase and also a lot easier to put together. But in any event, that's gonna be it for me today. Thank you all for watching. More stuff coming soon. We're gonna be there's a video I'm really excited for, to come out later this week, that I'm probably gonna split into 2 videos. I originally was gonna make it one big one, but I feel like it's a little rambly even for me. So we're probably gonna split it up into 2 different subjects. So anyway, see y'all when I see y'all. Thanks for watching.